If you would have seen me this time last year, there's no way I would have been able to even be awake enough to talk to you or talk to anyone. Good morning, sunflowers. It's about 6:30 a.m. on treatment day. I am gonna have to get up, pack my food, pack my medicines, and just try and get the day started. The name of my treatment, it's a long name. It's called plasmapheresis, or shorter name is called plasma exchange or PLEX. So I'm gonna bring you along today just to give you a little bit of a better insight of what a day of treatment is like for me. All right, so we just made it into the car. It's now about 8 o'clock and my appointment is at 8:30, so we're gonna make it there just on time. Oh, wait, say hi.
What's up?
Technically today is day 2 of treatment. I had day 1 on Tuesday, and it was a smooth process. So I've said my prayers again today and hoping that it will be the same experience. So again, the treatment that I'm having today is plasma exchange, in which my blood is basically taken out so that it can be divided between red blood cells, white blood cells, and plasma. And then the plasma is removed and replaced with a plasma substitute. And then the plasma substitute, red blood cells and white blood cells are kind of refiltered and circulated back in. Why I'm needing this is because for me, the, I guess, bad antibodies that cause my symptoms in relation to Sjogren's, as well as, oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. What's it called? The neuropathy piece.
Vasculitic.
Oh, yeah. So with Sjogren's and vasculitic neuropathy, those bad antibodies that are essentially attacking my body and overworking in my immune system, that kind of goes all haywire. So it just helps to have less of those antibodies in my system. But it is not a cure, it is a temporary fix. And that's why I have to go back every 4 weeks, because those bad antibodies, they're resilient and they are determined to, kind of grow back, and, they think they're doing the right thing, but they're not. So I've been doing this treatment for about almost a year and a half now. And I am definitely seeing better results than I saw with the previous treatment I did, which was IVIG. So in order to do this treatment, plasma exchange, I had to get a port or a porta catheter. Sometimes this treatment can be done with just veins in both arms. So they'll use one arm to kind of retrieve the blood and then the other arm to return it in. But my veins are just so small. Like, I went in for a test and they were basically like to kind of test my arms, and they immediately was like, no. For me, when I did start this treatment, accessing my port was something I was really nervous about every 4 weeks when I would go. I was very tense, and I did have one experience where it was kind of painful. So of course, when you have an experience like that, it then makes you anxious for the next time that you have to do it. So one of the doctors at Plasma Exchange suggested that I get a prescription lidocaine cream and to put it on before the treatment, and that may help. They say that it doesn't help everyone, but it was just an option that he suggested for me. So I did get a prescription from my neuromuscular doctor, who's the one who orders Plex, and I will say it did make a big difference for me. So as you can see, I have the cream and Tegaderm just to hold it down. I do put it on about 2 hours before my treatment, just so it has enough time to numb that area. I do still get a lidocaine shot, and they give that to everyone where I get my treatment. I don't feel it when it punctures the skin. And then the actual lidocaine the lidocaine shot that they give me allows me to not feel when they're actually accessing the port and the pulling and the tugging that I once felt before. So again, I'm about 18 months into this, it's just been trial and error. So again, I'm usually pretty good, I would say, with needles, but just the needle that is used to access my port, it's a little bit bigger and it's a little bit more painful. So I like to use this cream in addition to the lidocaine shot, just to really ensure that that area is numb. So a little bit more about my port. It's called a power flow port, and it's a type of port that actually requires little maintenance. So one of the things that I was also really scared about, I felt like, oh, it's going to be such a big responsibility if I have to worry about flushing it at home and, you know, infection prevention and all of that. I felt like it felt very weighty. It only requires to be flushed every 4 weeks. And since I go to my treatment every 4 weeks, then flushing it is just a natural part of the process when they de-access. So when they pull the needle out, then they put in heparin and they flush with saline, and then I'm good. So there's nothing that I have to do at home, which that gave me a lot of relief that this was the type of port that they were suggesting for me. Also, I mentioned that some people, when they are having Plex treatment, they use both arms and they use one of each arm to retrieve and return. So this port is capable of retrieving and returning all, you know, kind of with one line, and you don't actually have to use an arm to return. I do prefer to retrieve from the port and then return through one of my arms, simply because it's faster. So if you retrieve and return from the port, it just takes a little bit longer. By a little bit, I mean a lot longer. It's like an hour difference, because the speed of the port can't go as fast if you are taking out and putting in from the exact same location. But if I just use the port just to pull the blood out and then I return my arm, it's a much quicker process. So the time of the total treatment does vary. There's a lot of different factors that could come into play. If there's any clotting, and then they have to slow down how fast it's going. So we'll see how long it takes today. On Tuesday, when I had my day one, it was very quick. It was just right at 2 hours, including accessing and de-accessing, which is one of the fastest times I've ever had. Usually it's about 3 hours, but like I said, we'll see how long it takes today. So we just made it to the hospital. On my way to the actual, I think it's called the Blood Donor Center, is where I actually get my treatment done. So see you after.
So we got here right at about 8:30. It's about 10:30 now, so a couple hours should probably be done in the next 30 minutes or so, give or take. Usually about 2.5 hours on a good day. If it's busy or they get started late, then it could take longer, and so I'm hanging around a little bit longer. But I don't do anything but work, you know. I just kind of chill, hang out. It's the summertime, so today is very straightforward. It's pretty easy. You know, we just drive to the hospital, hang out, I work until she's done, and then we go home. Now, during the school year or at other times, it's a lot more hectic because I got pick-offs, drop-offs, and things like that. So it could be a lot crazier, but during this time, super easy. Right now, my daughter is at my mother-in-law's. We dropped her off last night because we knew we were coming in for treatment early today, and we'll pick her up, or she'll be back at the house tomorrow. So today is just, you know, all about Kendra getting her treatment today.
All right, I'm back. So now it's about 11:30 and just finished up treatment. So it was longer today than it was on Tuesday, but that was just because it was a long wait to get started. So my appointment was at 8:30. I didn't actually get called back until 9:30. You know how that goes at times with doctors, offices, and in the hospitals. But my technician was so gracious and validated our parking because of the wait. So really can't complain about that, and thank you to Stephanie for that. Also, the procedure itself was about 2 hours, which was the same as last time. So it has seemed like lately it's been getting faster, which again, no complaints about that. Overall, it was a good procedure. I didn't feel any nausea or headache or anything like that. I actually ended up talking to the tech the whole time, which made the process go by way faster. But some things that I have learned is when they take out the plasma and put in the plasma substitute, it's actually very cold because they have to keep it cold so that it will, stay good and be able to be used. But when it goes through, your veins, it makes your whole body cold. So I have learned a few hacks and tips that I wanted to share. So one thing that I'm doing now is I wear fuzzy socks, because if my feet are cold, then the rest of my body is cold. So that has helped a lot. Also, before we even start the treatment, I ask my tech for 3 blankets because I don't have any time to play games and have to keep adding blankets throughout the procedure. So I'm saying I don't got time for that. So I just out the gate ask nicely for 3 blankets. That way I am fully warm. And I also learned that eating during the procedure helps, kind of make the side effects non-existent, really. I'm really grateful.
Like you showing up to a sleepover.
It's a process, okay? Yeah. It's a process. It has been a 1.5 year journey to make it. If you would have seen me this time last year, there's no way I would have been able to even be awake enough to talk to you or talk to anyone. I would have been a zombie. So I'm appreciative that I have learned all of these tips and tricks so that it makes the process just overall more, what's the word? Like, it makes it just easier, and I don't dread it anymore, but it's taken me to determine, what I need. As you can see, there's a bandage here over my port, and so I usually keep this bandage on for at least about 24 hours after my procedure, just in case there's any. They put heparin in just to prevent any blood clots, but sometimes a little bit of it can ooze out and kind of mix in with a little bit of blood. So when I usually take the bandage off, there's just a little bit of blood there, so I like to keep it on there just to keep that pressure on. For anyone who is starting a new treatment, whether it's Plex or anything else, just knowing that, that fear or that nervousness that you feel the first time, it won't always be like that. You'll get better, and you'll get better in terms of you'll learn, the things that work for you. And sometimes it's just experience that can do that, but you will get there. On another note, something I do want to just be completely honest about, because sometimes there's things in life and it's like, well, nobody told me this and nobody told me that. Well, just a little truth, at least for me, about Plex is that it does create gas. So you can't say that I didn't tell you. So just be prepared. And at this point, it's just normal. It happens. It's a couple of days of it, and then it goes away. So we are headed back to the house right now. I do feel just a little bit sleepy, so I'm definitely gonna lay down and rest for the rest of the afternoon. So that's kind of what we have in store for the rest of the day. So we are now back home. It's about 2:15 p.m. Overall, it was a great day of treatment. Little to no side effects, and I felt maybe a little bit of nausea, but Tums is my best friend, so I take those. A little bit of sleepiness, so I'm gonna lay down after this. I did also want to show, earlier I was talking about how they retrieve the blood from my port and then return it through my arm. So this is where the needle was inserted in order to be able to get the plasma substitute and the red and white blood cells to circulate back in. So I am done with treatment for this month. I will now go back in 4 weeks and do 2 sessions with a day in between in July. So thanks so much for coming along with me on this day of Plex. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe.